Now let's practice. We're going to factor perfect square trinomials, but first we're going to multiply. Before we factor, we're going to practice multiplying, and that's going to help our brain go backwards and factor. So I've got 2x plus 5 quantity squared. Well, we know that that means the base times itself. So I'm going to first expand. So I'm just recalling what we normally do. So we expand and then we FOIL. And we got really good at foiling. So 2x times 2x is 4x squared. And then we have the outer. I'm going to move this a little bit because I want to use some color here. Then we have our outer. 2x times 5 is 10x. 5 times 2x is a positive 10x as well. Positive 10x plus positive 10x is going to be 20x. And I can even write it like this. Look at this. It's 10x twice. That was pretty good, huh? Plus our last term, 25, because it's 5 times 5. Well, what's 10x twice? I like that I did that, and you'll see why. Plus 20x plus 25. Very cool. Let's try again. X plus 8 quantity squared. Well, that's x plus 8 times x plus 8. So I'm going to have my first term, x squared, and then we've got the outer 8x, the inner another positive 8x. Well, that's 8x twice, plus your last term's 64. So we have x squared plus 16x plus 64. Most excellent. Okay, let's try 4x minus 3 quantity squared. Well, that's the same thing as 4x minus 3 times 4x minus 3. So you're getting really good at this. So you're thinking, well, this is going to be 16x squared. And you're thinking, I don't need to show those loops. Then we've got negative 12x. Oh, this time it's negative. Negative 12x. How many times do we have those? Well, that happens twice too. So when we have a binomial times itself, the outer and the inner are going to be the same thing. So we're going to have plus 2 times negative 12x, right? And then negative 3 times negative 3 is positive 9. Well, that's interesting. So we started off with a positive. This time our middle term is negative 24x. And then we always end on a positive. So look at this. We ended on a positive, ended on a positive, still ending on a positive. But this time our middle term is negative. Oh, look at that. And what happened here? Our middle term on this one was positive. Oh, and look, our middle term is positive. Okay, so I'm seeing a pattern here. Let's try this one. 6x minus 1 times 6x minus 1. I like to expand and see my two binomials so that I don't make any mistakes. 36x squared. And then I'm going to have, can you figure out what we're going to have twice? We're going to have 2 negative 6's. And then negative 1 times negative 1 is positive 1. So our answer is going to be 36x squared minus 12x plus 1. Excellent. Now we're going to go backwards. So now I'm going to show you how to go backwards. Let's look at the 4 that we've just done. Let's see if we can't recognize something. Okay. I'm going to start right here because I've got some nice color going on here with the 3 different colors. My first and my last terms. In fact, I'm going to make this yellow. There's something that our first and last terms have in common. Look at that first and last term. Look at number 13's first and last term. Look at number 14's first and last term. And look at number 16's first and last term. And I can highlight this first and last term too. So this is why doing the exponent quiz was so incredibly important. The reason it was so important is because now you can see, you can recognize that those are perfect squares. 4x squared is a perfect square of 2x. It comes from 2x. 25 is a perfect square coming from 5 squared. 16x squared, 4x. 9 comes from 3. Now let's just kind of look here on the left-hand side. Let's look at the 4x and the 3. What's the relationship? 4x times 3 twice. Okay, let's look here. Let's look at our, I wrote this in the wrong spot. There we go. Look at that. Now what's the relationship here? 2x times 5 twice. 2x times 5 twice. Okay, let's come over here to the number 14. X squared is a perfect square of x. 64 is a perfect square of 8. What is 8x twice? 16. Okay, let's look at this last one, number 16. 36x squared is a perfect square from 6x. 1 is a perfect square of 1. What's 6x? 6x times 1. What's 6x times 1 twice? 12x. Absolutely. So now let's do this. 4x squared plus 12x plus 9. I'm so incredibly proud. You've got this. I know it. 4x squared is a perfect square of 2x. 9 is a perfect square of 3. What is 6x twice? It's 12x. So this is how we create our binomial squared. 2x, that middle term determines the sign, and then plus 3. Do you see where everything's coming from? I'll highlight it. 2x comes from your perfect square in your first term. 3 comes from your perfect square in your last term. And then the positive comes from that linear term in the middle. You always have to, though, confirm, always confirm that the first times the last, okay, the square root of the first times the square root of the last equals 2 I think confirm that the square root of first times the square root of last times 2 is equal to the middle term. That's what I want to say, is equal to the middle term. The square root of the first, see, the square root of the first times the square root of the last, 2x times 3 multiplied by 2 is equal to the middle term. Okay, so let's try that. N squared is a perfect square of n. 25 is a perfect square of 5. 2 times 5n is 10n. Therefore, we could put a great big check mark, and we have n minus 5 quantity squared. Oops, I forgot to put the quantity squared on number 17. Don't forget that quantity squared, because it's n minus 5 times n minus 5. Okay, let's try this number 19. X squared is a perfect square of x. 169 is a perfect square of 13. 2 times 13x is indeed 26x. Therefore, we're going to have x minus 13 quantity squared. Don't forget the exponent. Why is it minus? Because the middle term is negative. Okay, you try number 20. Then come back and I will reveal the answer. Okay, I've got 4x. I've got 7. 2 times 28x is indeed 56x. Therefore, 4x plus 7 quantity squared. And do you see all the work that I'm showing? This is all the work that you can show in each and every one of your problems. It does seem a little bit tedious. However, if you take the opportunity to even just do this one assignment with integrity, showing all of your work, then it's going to save you aggravation, it's going to save you error, it's going to save you confusion going forward, because you're really going to have a strong foundation of this type of factoring, and you're not likely to forget it. And if you do forget it, you're going to easily recall it when you take that next algebra class. Promise. Okay, here's 21 through 26. You try these. You try them and then come back and let's check the answers. Make sure you are showing all of your work. Make sure you're showing all of your work. Okay, welcome back. Hopefully you've checked this. Now I'm going to do a quick answer so you can check your answer. 3x plus 5 quantity squared. Next one is 9x minus 5 quantity squared. Now I'm going to show you real quick what I need to see. I need to see 15x twice is 30x. Done. I need to see 2 times negative 45x is negative 90x. Beautiful. Okay, so make sure you're showing that work in orange. I'm just providing you answers so that you can check your work and maybe see where you might have made a mistake. 3x plus 10, quantity squared. Number 25, x minus 25, quantity squared. And number 26, x plus 17, quantity squared. And that is factoring special cases. So hopefully you've enjoyed doing this, because actually factoring is quite enjoyable when you know your multiplication tables, and when you know the strategy, and when you feel successful. So hopefully you felt successful, because factoring is a part of your mathematical education from this point forward. It will never go away, and I can promise you that.